tao ang naipit at nadaganan sa naganap na stampede sa isang train station sa India.
Kamustahin po natin ang sitwasyon sa istasyon at ang kondisyon ng mga tao roon mula sa mga detalye ng balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Ricky Mathay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Lunes.
Estados Unidos iginiit na pawang pangdepensa lamang ang mga military exercises sa Pilipinas.
India at Pilipinas inaasahan na papasok sa panibagong arms deal.
Group of 7 nations pinangunahan ang pagbuo sa isang peace deal sa pagitan ng Russia at ng Ukraine.
Kentucky nagdeklara ng state of emergency dahil sa bagyo.
At Syrian national na naksak ng isang 14 anyos na lalaki sa Austria, arestado. Iginiit po ng US State Department na pawang pangdepensa lamang ang isinasagawa mga military exercises sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at ng Estados Unidos.
Ang pahayag na ito ay tugon ng Estados Unidos sa paghimok ng Defense Ministry ng China sa Maynila na alisin na ang Typhoon Intermediate Range Missile ng US. Ayon sa US, ang Typhoon launchers na ito ay may kakayahang maglunsad ng mga missiles ng ilang libong kilometro ang layo. Una nang inakusahan ng Defense Ministry ng China ang Pilipinas na hindi ito tumupad sa pangako na aalisin ang naturang missile system sa Pilipinas. Nilinaw naman ng National Security Council o NSC na walang ganitong commitment o pangako ang Pilipinas sa China at sinuportahan ang pahayag ng US na para lamang sa depensa ng bansa ang Typhoon missile.
Inaasahan ng India na bibilhin ng Pilipinas ang kanilang mga Akash missile system sa isang $200 million deal. Ayon sa New Delhi, posibleng magsimula ang deal sa buwan Abril. Ang Akash system ay may kakayahang magpalipad ng mga missile hanggang sa layong 25 kilometers. Una nag-export ang India sa Armenia sa isang $230 million deal. Subalit, sinasabi ng mga sources na maaaring mas malaki pa ang magiging kasunduan sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at ng India. Sa kabila naman ito, hindi naman tinukoy ng India ang eksaktong bilang ng mga missiles at accompanying systems katulad po ng radar sa magiging arms deal nito sa Pilipinas.
Mas pinalakas na kooperasyon sa dairy sector sa pagitan ng Pilipinas at France. Ito ang ipinamalita ng Department of Agriculture o DA matapos ang signing of Memorandum of Understanding sa pagitan ng National Dairy Authority at Phylum Sari. Ayon sa ahensya, nagkasundo ang dalawang bansa para magsagawa ng feasibility study para sa Philippine Dairy Project. Ang feasibility study na ito ay popondahan sa pamamagitan ng grant mula sa FASEP ng gobyerno ng France. Inaasahan na sa ilalim ng Philippine Dairy Project ay magkakaroon ang Pilipinas ng isang dairy farm na kayang magproseso ng hanggang 10 metrikong tonelada ng milk o ng raw milk araw-araw. Naniwala naman ang Agriculture Department na mas mapapadali ang kasunduan ng pagtatayo ng mga milk collection center gayon din ng milk processing facility sa mga piling lugar sa buong Pilipinas.
Inaasahang sisimulan na po sa February 19, araw po yan na Miyerkules, ng Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board o LTFRB ang pagdinig para sa mga nakibinbing petisyon na itaas sa 15 pesos ang minimum fare para sa mga jeepney. Tinukoy ni Technical Division Head Joel Bolano na taong 2023 pa nang inihain ang naturang petisyon. Subalit nilinaw ng ahensya, pinag-aaralan pa nila ang nakabinbing petisyon ng iba't ibang transport groups. Anila masusi ang nagiging pagsusuri para sa minimum fare hike sa jeep at isinaalang-alang nila ang nagiging trend sa presyo ng gasolina, inflation rates at ang pangkalahatang epekto sa ekonomiya sa riding public para sa makatarungang pagpapatupad nito.
Inalerto ng lokal na pamahalaan ng Quezon City ang publiko na maging maingat kasunod ng pagdeklara ng lungsod ng dengue outbreak. Sa tala kasi ng pamahalaan ng Quezon City, umabot na sa 10 ang namamatay dahil sa dengue at 8 rito ay mga menor de edad simula pa noong buwan ng Enero ngayong taon. Habang nasa 1,769 naman ang naitalang kabuuang bilang ng dengue cases sa lungsod. Kaya bilang hakbang para makontrol ang bilang ng nagkakasakit ay inatasan ng pamahalaang lungsod ang nasa 100 at 42 mga barangay captains na magsagawa ng cleanup drive at mosquito fogging. Hinikayat din ng publiko na linisin ang kanilang tirahan para hindi pamugaran ng mga lamok. Samantala, para matulungan ang mga posibleng dengue patients ay naglagay na rin ang lokal na pamahalaan ng Fever Express lanes sa mga health facilities para tiyakin ang mabilis na aksyon para sa mga may sintomas ng naturang sakit.
Asahan po ang halos nasa pisong taas presyo sa produktong petrolyo bukas, February 18, 2025. Pagpatak ng alas 6 ng umaga bukas ay patutupad na ng mga oil industry firms ang 80 sentimos na dagdag sa presyo kada litro ng gasolina at ng diesel. Habang 10 sentimos naman ang itataas sa presyo ng kada litro ng kerosene o gas.
Nagkita si Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo at U.S. Secretary Marco Rubio sa sidelines ng Munich Security Conference 2025 sa Germany. Tinilakay at pinagtibay ng dalawang lider ang kahalagahan ng development cooperation ng Pilipinas at ng Estados Unidos. Napag-usapan rin ni Manalo at Rubio ang ugnayan ng kani-kanilang bansa pagdating sa ekonomiya at seguridad. Gayunman ay kinilala pa rin ng Pilipinas na ang bagong administrasyon ng Washington ay nasa proseso ng pagkumpleto ng pagsusuri sa mga gawain ng mga development agencies. Matatandaan na noong January 20 ay nag-anunsyo ang Estados Unidos ng isang 90-day review ng foreign aids nito. Kabilang ang Pilipinas sa mga bansang apektado ng U.S. foreign aid pause.
Sa isang advisory ay pinalalahanan ng Department of Energy o DOE ang mga providers ng electric vehicle charging stations na magsumite ng annual reports. Dapat nila na iulat ng mga EV charging station providers ang lahat ng installations nito bago matapos ang buwan ng Pebrero. Binanggit din sa advisory na kinakailangan ding isumite ang reports sa unbundling of charges para sa mga DOE-registered stations. Nabanggit ng ahensyang dapat ipadala ang mga isinumiteng report sa Electric Vehicle Industry Management Division sa pamamagitan ng online platform nito. Dati nang inatasan ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. ang DOE at iba pang ahensyang pagtuunan ng pansin ang paghahanap ng paraan upang mapababa ang gastos sa produksyon, financing at dapat din anyang singilin ang charging infrastructure upang matiyak ang pag-unlad ng EV industry.
Susunod, China nagpalipad na naman ng military aircraft sa Taiwan Strait.
Donald Trump nangakong sasama ang Kyiv sa kanilang mga negosasyon.
At US Vice President J.D. Vance binatikos ang mga lider ng Europa. Iba pang detalye ng mga balita sa pagbabalik ng mata ng Agila International.
signal to the world we are open for business.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos. Every Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa NET25.
Sa kasulukuyang henerasyon, marami na ang nag-viral. Dahil po yan sa kanilang ginagawang pagtulong sa kapwa. Pero mas marami ang tumutulong kahit walang nakakakita. Kaya naman kung ikaw ay may kilala na grupo o individual na may natatanging pagresponde sa lipunan at maging sa kalikasan, mag-text lamang sa 0915-415-1035 o mag-email sa responde@net25.com at magpadala ng mensahe sa ating Facebook page at NET25 TV. Baka kayo na ang susunod nating Certified Key Responder.
Let's net together. Sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Iniulat ng Taiwan itong linggo na namataan nila ang nasa 24 Chinese military aircraft malapit sa isla habang dumaraan ang isang Canadian warship sa Taiwan Strait, isang mahalaga at sensitibong daanan ng tubig. Ang pagdaan ng Canadian naval vessel ay ang unang transit nito ngayong taon ayon sa pahayag ng Ministry of Foreign Affairs ng Taiwan. Nangyari ito ilang araw matapos dumaan ang dalawang barko ng Estados Unidos sa Strait. Ang Taiwan Strait ay madalas tinatawid ng Estados Unidos at mga kaalyado nito upang patibayin ang estado nito bilang isang international waterway na naghudyat ng pagkagalit ng China. Maaalala na inaangkin ng Beijing ang Taiwan bilang bahagi ng teritoryo nito kahit hindi nito pinamumunuan ng bansa at patuloy na nagbabanta na sasakupin ito gamit ang puwersa ng militar. Kinumpirma ng Ministry of Foreign Affairs ng Taiwan na ang HMCS Ottawa, isang Halifax-class frigate ng Royal Canadian Navy, ay dumaan sa Taiwan Strait noong February 16. Nababatid na binanggit ng Canada na ang nais itong suportahan ay ang kalayaan, kapayapaan at bukas na kalakalan sa Taiwan Strait. Bilang tugon sa pagdaan ng Canadian warship, iniulat ng Ministry of National Defense ng Taiwan na nagsagawa ang China ng Joint Combat Readiness Patrol sa paligid ng isla gamit ang 24 aircraft, kabilang ang mga fighter jets at drones, pati na rin ang mga military vessels. Iniulat din ng mga Taiwanese media na habang dumaraan ang Canadian warship, nagradyo umano ang militar ng China at nagbabala sa barko na magbago ng ruta. Samantala, ayon sa datos mula sa Ministry of National Defense ng Taiwan, nasa 62 na Chinese military aircraft ang kanilang namataan malapit sa isla sa dalawang nakaraang araw kasabay ng pagdaan ng mga US ships. Ang pinakabagong mga hakbang ng Estados Unidos sa Taiwan Strait ay nagmarka ng unang pagkakataon mula noong panahon ng administrasyon ni US President Donald Trump kasunod ng pahayag ni Trump at Japan Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba na tinutulan nila ang anumang pagtatangkang baguhin ng status quo ng Taiwan Strait sa pamamagitan ng puwersahang pananakot rito.
Kinundina ng militar ng China ang paglalayag ng isang bargong pagdigma ng Canada sa Taiwan Strait. Sinabi ng People's Liberation Army Eastern Theater Command na ang ginawa ng Canada ay nagdulot ng gulo at nagpahina sa kapayapaan at katatagan ng Taiwan Strait. Inanunsyo rin ng China na high alert ang kanilang puwersa sa lahat ng oras upang labanan ang lahat ng mga banta at provokasyon. Paminsan-minsan ay dumaraan ang US Navy at mga barko ng Canada, Britain at France sa Taiwan Strait na itinuturing nilang isang international waterway. Naniniwala rin ang Taipei na international waterway ang Taiwan Strait, subalit patuloy na ginigiit ng Beijing na strategic waterway ito at bahagi umano ng teritoryo ng China.
Dalawang mahalagang okasyon ang inilunsad sa kabisera ng bansang Papua New Guinea kaugnay ng nalalapit nitong selebrasyon ng ika-50 taon ng kasarinlan nito sa Setyembre. Si Ecortaleza Quinola para sa balita.
Hindi pa sumisikat ang araw, marami na ang nagtipon sa dalampasigan ng Ella Beach upang doon simulan ang morning walk. Dinaluhan ito ng mga mamamayan ng Papua New Guinea. Kanya-kanyang dala ng bandila na simbolo ng pagkakakilanlan at pakikipagkaisa sa selebrasyon. Pinangunahan ito ni National Capital District Governor Powes Parkop. Matapos ang mahigit 1 oras ng paglalakad, nagkaroon naman ng programa sa Sir Hubert Murray Stadium kung saan ipinamalas ang iba't ibang talento ng mga mamamayan ng Papua New Guinea, gayon din ng mga membro ng international communities. Nagsalita ang mga pinuno ng mga embahada bilang pagbibigay pugay sa darating na Golden Jubilee.
In 2025, and celebrating 50 years. I think it's very special for those of us who are alive, working, and here in this country. It's a time that will not repeat itself. It's just once in a lifetime. So let us celebrate and give prominence to its fullness.
Samantala, inilunsad naman ni Prime Minister James Marape sa Parliament House ang gagamiting National Independence logo para sa ika-80 anibersaryo ng bansa. Ito anya ang tanda ng malawak na tagumpay ng bansa mula nang makamit ito ang kalayaan noong 1975.
Our society grows great when all men plant trees who said they shall never sit under.
Umaasa ang mga dumalo sa dalawang okasyon na ito na magiging masaya, maningning at may tuturing na malaking selebrasyon ang 50th Independence Day. Mula sa Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Eko Hortaleza Quinola para sa mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Nagbigay galang po si North Korean leader Kim Jong-un sa mausoleo ng kanyang pamilya sa Pyongyang upang gunitain ang kaarawan ng kanyang yumaong ama na si Kim Jong-il. Itinuturing itong holiday ng North Korea na tinatawag nila bilang Day of the Shining Star. Dumalo naman si Kim Jong-un ng isang seremonya para sa huling yugto ng kanyang malakihang proyekto ng pabahay sa Pyongyang. Ang inisyatiba na inilunsad noong taong 2021 ay naglayong magpatayo ng 50,000 na bagong mga tahanan bilang bahagi ng 5 taong plano ni Kim para sa ekonomiya ng bansa. Ang proyekto ay nakatakdang magbigay ng hindi bababa sa 10,000 na bagong apartments bawat taon, bagaman may mga analista na nag-aalinlangan sa kakayahan nitong magtagumpay dahil sa mga hamon ng ekonomiya at maging sa international sanctions. Ibinida pa ni Kim ang nasa halos 400% na pagtaas ng output ng infrastruktura kumpara noong taong 2020 at nangako siyang ipagpapatuloy ang pagpapalawak ng lungsod at pagpapabuti ng kondisyon ng pamumuhay ng mga residente sa Pyongyang. Samantala, nagpapakita rin na mas malalim na hangarin ang lider ng NOCOR na magtayo ng sariling pamana. Ipinapakita ng mga hakbang na ito ang patuloy na pag-aalaga ng pook ng pamilya Kim sa kanilang hawak na kapangyarihan sa Hilagang Korea.
Binigyang linaw ngayon ng White House na hindi nila maaaring baliwalain ang Ukraine sa gagawing pag-uusap kasama ang Russia.
Before we get to Israel and Hamas, let me get your take on your plans in Saudi Arabia. Are you expecting to leave for Saudi tonight? And what specifically are you hoping to accomplish?
Well, I don't want to talk too much about that specifically, Maria, but I am going tonight. I'll be traveling there with the National Security Advisor, and we'll be having meetings at the direction of the President, and hopefully we'll make some really good progress with regard to Russia, Ukraine.
Is there anything you can say about some of your allies alarmed by the fact that Ukraine is not part of the talks?
Well, I think Ukraine is part of the talks. The President had their President Zelensky on the phone this past week.
Sinabi ni U.S. Middle East Envoy Steve Witkoff na magtutungo ito sa Saudi Arabia kasama si United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio para kausapin ng personal ang mga kinatawan ng Russia at Ukraine para tuluyang matigil na ang kaguluhan. Mayroon ding mga hiwalay na pag-uusap ang ilang opisyal ng Estados Unidos sa Ukraine kung saan naging maganda ang tugon ng mga ito. Una nang sinabi ni Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky na hindi nito tatanggapin ang kasunduan sa pagitan ng Russia at US kung hindi sila padadaluhin sa pag-uusap. Noong nakaraang linggo, tinawagan ni US President Donald Trump sina Russian President Vladimir Putin at si Zelensky para isulong ang pagtigil ng kaguluhan.
President Putin. What do you think he wants ultimately in Ukraine?
I think he wants to stop fighting. I see that. We spoke long and hard. Steve Witkoff was with him for a very extended period, like about 3 hours. I think he wants to stop fighting. They have a big, powerful machine. You understand that. And they defeated Hitler and they defeated Napoleon. You know, they've been fighting a long time. They've done it before. And but I think he'd like to. I think he would like to stop fighting.
Do you think he wants the whole of Ukraine, or just like what do you think he wants?
No, I think he wants to stop. That was my question to him, because if he's going to go on, that would have been a big problem for us, and that would have caused me a big problem because you just can't let that happen. I think he wants to end it, and they want to end it fast. Both of them, and Zelensky wants to end it too.
Update on your timing of your meeting with Putin in Saudi Arabia?
No, no time set, but it could be very soon.
Like this month?
Well, it'll be soon. We'll see what happens, but they're meeting right now, and that's more. I mean, this should have been done 4 years ago, 3 years ago, before it started, but it should have been done immediately after it started, as opposed to now, 3 years later.
Sinabi ng Ukraine na wala sa draft minerals deal ng Washington ang proteksyong hinahanap ng Kyiv. Ito po ay sa gitna ng usap-usapan na plano umano ng Estados Unidos na makinabang sa yamang mineral ng Ukraine kapalit ng seguridad nito. Narito po ang mga balita mula kay Rose Papa Angeles.
Nagsalita si Pangulong Volodymyr Zelensky ukol sa banghay o draft mula sa Washington ukol sa minerals deal na binubuo nito sa Ukraine. Ani Zelensky, hindi nilalaman ng draft ang mga probisyong hinihingi ng Kiev ukol sa seguridad ng bansa.
Вона не захищає, вона ще не готова, щоб захистити нас, наші інтереси. Для мене дуже важливо говорити про інвестиції в Україну, і саме інвестиції, і це повинно бути виписано юридично правильно, коректно, і це інвестиції, і на них, на профіті від них можна думати, як розподіляти цей профіт, якщо все це пов'язане з гарантіями безпеки, розумієте? І цього зв'язку я поки що в документі не бачу.
Samantala, ayon naman sa tatlong sources, inialok ng US sa draft na aangkinin nito ang 50% ng kritikal na mineral ng Ukraine. Na ayon din sa sources ay hindi pinirmahan ni Zelensky. Makikita sa mga negosasyon kung gaano kaselan ang tubig diplomatiko na dapat languyin ni Zelensky upang makuha ang suporta ni US President Donald Trump. Kabilang na ang paggaranti ng seguridad ng Ukraine pagkatapos ng gyera. Noong Miyerkules, inihain ni US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent ang isang draft deal sa pagbisita nito sa Kiev. Ito ay matapos ibigay ni Zelensky ang mga probisyon na hanap nito kapalit ng mga mineral na posibleng magsilbing puhunan kapalit ng proteksyon ng Estados Unidos. Binigyan din ng grupo ni Zelensky na hanap nila ang garantiya ng US na pipigilin ng Russia na pasuking muli ang Ukraine sakaling magkaroon nga ng peace deal. Rose Papa Angeles para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Nagkasundo ang G7 foreign ministers na patuloy na buuin ang matatag na kasunduang pangkapayapaan para sa Ukraine. Nais po ng mga lider na magkaroon ng matibay na seguridad para sa Ukraine at parusa naman sa Russia sakaling sumira ito sa peace deal. Rosel Feria po para sa balita niyan.
Sa gilid ng Munich Security Conference, sinabi ni Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly na patuloy na susuportahan ng G7 ang Ukraine at patuloy ring pepressurein ang Russia.
Yes, indeed. We talked about the illegal invasion of Ukraine by Russia. Yes, indeed. We spoke about the importance of having Ukraine at the table and also allies at the table, including, of course, Europe and Canada. Yes, we did talk about how we can make sure that ultimately Ukrainians that have been fighting for their freedom, but also for ours, are able to get just, comprehensive and long-lasting peace. And it was clear to all of us that we need to make sure that the peace that eventually can be in place is not a peace that is dividing us, but a peace that is able to unite us. And so in that sense, we'll continue to support Ukraine, and will continue to put maximum pressure against Russia. And that was a clear commitment coming from the G7.
Kasali sa G7 ang France, Germany, Italy, Canada, Japan, Britain at ang European Union. Ayon sa samahan, ang garantiyang kanilang pinagkasunduan ay upang tiyaking hindi na muling magsisimula ang gera.
They underscored their commitment to work together to help to achieve a durable peace and a strong and prosperous Ukraine, and reaffirm the need to develop robust security guarantees to ensure the war will not begin again. So, the question of security guarantees is written and is all agreed upon. First. Second, being a Pacific nation, Canada, and understanding the reality of Japan, what is clearly stated from all the G7 foreign ministers is that there's a connection between the Euro-Atlantic security and the Indo-Pacific one.
Samantala, sinabi ng mga opisyal ng Administrasyong Trump na inaasahan nito na manguna sa responsibilidad ang magkakaalyadong taga-Europa sa NATO para sa sariling depensa nito. Ito ay dahil may iba ng prioridad ang US at yan ay ang seguridad sa border at ang pakikipagtunggali sa China.
But did you have a collective agreement that that would be the case?
Yes, we did.
And so America agreed that. Rubio agreed that too.
Well, listen, I won't speak for Secretary of State Rubio. You can ask him questions directly. But there was a clear understanding that we need to make sure that Ukrainian voices are at the table, that Europe and Canada is at the table, because ultimately it is also about Ukraine's security, but it's also about the Euro-Atlantic security. Well, we believe that it is fundamental to use the sanctions as a way to put more pressure on Russia, and this is something that also is important to our American friends.
Rosel Feria para sa Mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Binatikos ni US Vice President J.D. Vance ang mga European countries dahil sa pagpapabaya sa pagdami ng illegal na mga migrants, pagpigil sa freedom of speech at hindi pakikiisa sa partidong kontra sa gobyerno.
To increase defense spending over the next few years in line with some new target. And that's great, because as President Trump has made abundantly clear, he believes that our European friends must play a bigger role in the future of this continent. We don't think, you hear this term, burden sharing, but we think it's an important part of being in a shared alliance together that the Europeans step up while America focuses on areas of the world that are in great danger.
Isinagawa ng US Vice President ang pagbatiko sa kanyang talumpati sa Munich Security Conference sa Germany. Ipinagmalaki nito na kayang tapusin ni US President Donald Trump ang kaguluhan sa pagitan ng Russia at Ukraine, subalit ang banta ay nasa Europa.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values shared with the United States of America. Most concerningly,
giit nito na nakayanan ng Estados Unidos ang anumang pambabatikos mula sa ilang protesters nang hindi pinipigilan ang mga ito na maglabas ng kanilang hinaing.
And trust me, I say this with all humor, if American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk. But what no democracy, American, German, or European, will survive is telling millions of voters that their thoughts and concerns, their aspirations, their pleas for relief are invalid or unworthy of even being considered.
Samantala sa London, United Kingdom, libo-libo po ang nagmarcha para tutulan ang kampanya ni US President Donald Trump na alisin ang mga Palestinians palabas ng Gaza. Alamin natin ang balitang yan mula kay Anjay de Guzman.
Nagsimulang magmarcha ang mga demonstrador sa Whitehall, ang pwesto ng pamahalaan ng Britain. Natapos ang protesta sa embahada ng Estados Unidos sa London. Kamakailan kasi nagpahayag si Pangulong Donald Trump ng US na nais nitong gawing Riviera ng Middle East ang Gaza kung saan maaaring mamuhay tabi-tabi ang international communities. Ito ay matapos ang 16 na buwang labanan sa pagitan ng Israel at Hamas na ikinawasak ng teritoryo at ikinamatay ng 47,000 tao. Sa kaugnay na balita, nagprotesta rin laban kay Trump ang mga taga Dublin, Ireland. Nagmarcha ang mga demonstrador patungong US Embassy sa kabisera ng bansa. Ang protesta ay laban sa mga aksyon ni Trump sa unang 3 linggong pamumuno nito ng Estados Unidos. Makikita sa mga karatulang hawak ng mga demonstrador ang mga katagang tigilan na ang pag-aarma sa Israel. Gayon din ang kalayaan at katarungan para sa Palestine. Ang suwestyon ni Trump na ilikas muli ang 2.2 milyong Palestinians at pagkontrol ng US sa teritoryo ay umani ng tuligsa mula sa mga residente nito, gayon din mula sa Arab states. Ayon sa rights advocates at sa United Nations, ang mungkahing ito ni Trump ay maituturing na uri ng ethnic cleansing.
So I think we've seen both in the Biden administration now and the Trump administration that the US has been a really strong and consistent ally of Israel as they execute genocide in Gaza and as they execute ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, as Israel annexes the Golan Heights and just flouts international law. And it seems that while you might get the occasional statement of, oh, we don't approve of that, but now that tack has very much changed, we still get the US sending billions of dollars worth of arms and weapons and support to Israel to do what they're doing. And it's not good enough. We can't hold countries to different standards. If this was Russia doing it, we would be rightly calling it out, we would be rightly sanctioning it, and yet we've seen no action. And it's not good enough.
Well, we're protesting and have marched to the US Embassy in Dublin because of the absolutely blatant and outrageous threat by Donald Trump to ethnically cleanse 2 million people from Gaza. After 16 months of genocide being committed by Israel with the support of the United States and Western governments, Trump goes even further now and threatens the ethnic cleansing, a crime against humanity, against the people of Gaza. And we're here to say that we are standing with the people of Gaza. We support their resistance against this horrendous plan and demanding that the Irish government do not bend the knee to Donald Trump.
NJ De Guzman para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Pinalaya na ng Hamas ang 3 pang bihag ng Israelis noong Sabado. Pinakawalan na ng militanteng grupong Hamas ang 3 bihag na Israelis mula sa Khan Yunis sa Gaza at tinurn over sa Red Cross, saka dinala ang mga ito sa Israeli Army sa ibang lokasyon sa Gaza. Ang Israeli Army o Israeli Military naman ang nagdala sa mga pinalayang Israelis pauwi ng Tel Aviv. Kabilang sa mga pinalayang Israelis ay sina Alexander Trufanov, Yair Horn at Sagi Dekelchen. Ang pagpapalaya sa Israeli hostages ay kapalit ng pagpapakawala naman sa mahigit 360 Palestine prisoners na nakakulong sa mga piitan ng Israel. Matatandaan na nauna nang nagbanta ang Hamas na hindi nila papakawala ng mga bihag na Israelis kasunod ng mga paglabag umano ng Israel sa ceasefire deal. Nagbanta naman ang Israel na kung hindi papalayain ang mga bihag ngayong araw, ipagpapatuloy nito ang pag-atake sa Gaza.
Sa New York, umamin ng guilty sa state court para sa kasong fraud ang dating advisor ni US President Donald Trump na si Steve Bannon. Ito po ay kaugnay pa rin ng kanyang fundraising campaign para sa bakod ng border ng US sa Mexico. Ana Cui para sa balitang yan.
Umamin ng guilty ang 71-year-old na si Steve Bannon sa isang bilang ng panloloko. Agad na sinentensyahan si Bannon ng 3 taong conditional release. Nakaiwas ito ng pagkakakulong. Sinampahan si Bannon ng money laundering at pakikipagsabwatan o conspiracy. Inakusahan din ito ng panloloko sa donors noong 2019 na nag-ambag ng higit sa $15 milyong sa isang pribadong fundraising drive. Ito ay tinawag na We Build the Wall noong unang termino ni Trump sa White House. Bahagi ng sentensya ni Bannon na hindi na ito maaaring bumahagi sa anumang New York nonprofit, sa loob ng 3 taon. Bawal rin itong gumamit o magbenta ng donor data na nakuha bilang bahagi ng scheme. Sa ilalim ng isang akusasyon mula sa tanggapan ni Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, unang tinanggihan ni Bannon ng bintang at nakatakdang litisin sa Marso. Hindi nagsalita si Bannon sa korte bukod sa pag-amin ng guilty at nauunawa nito ang kanyang mga karapatan. Samantala sa labas ng courthouse, inatake ni Bannon si Bragg at ang si New York Attorney General Letitia James. Si James ay hindi sangkot sa kaso ni Bannon, subalit kinasuhan nito si Trump ng civil fraud at nanalo ng kalahating bilyon mula sa hatol laban kay Trump. Itinanggi naman ng Pangulo ang anumang pagkakamali at inapila ang kaso. Ayon sa indictment, nangako si Bannon sa donors na lahat ng kontribusyon ng mga ito ay mapupunta sa bakod ni Trump sa border. Subalit itinago ni Bannon ang papel nito sa pagdadala ng libu-libong pondo sa hepe ng proyekto na si Brian Kolfage. Si Kolfage ay isang decorated U.S. Force veteran na nangakong hindi tatanggap ng anumang sweldo. Umamin ng guilty si Kolfage noong April 2022 sa federal fraud at tax charges. Nagsisilbi ito ngayon ng 4 na taon na sentensya sa kulungan. Hindi maaaring i-pardon ni Trump si Bannon sa reklamong isinampa ni Bragg dahil ito ay sa antas ng estado. Ana Cui para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Susunod, hindi bababa sa 18 katao patay matapos mag-stampede sa India.
Cristiano Ronaldo tinaguri ang highest paid athlete of 2024.
At Orlando Magic star Mac McClung, isa ng 3-time slam dunk championship winner. Mga detalye po ng mga balita niyan at iba pa sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Ngayong Sabado sa Motorcycle Republic.
We're doing this to unite all Vespa enthusiasts in the Philippines. That's why shoutout is always one Vespa, one Pilipinas.
Ngayon, nandito tayo sa MOA Globe para sa Vespa Pilipinas Tourism Rally 2025. Ang advocacy ng event na to ay promote ang tourism from Manila. Mag-e-end tayo sa Subic. So guys, samahan natin sila simula dito sa Pasay hanggang sa Subic, Zambales. Right.
This is Motorcycle Republic, tuwing Sabado, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Let's get together sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Kada mustahan na may kasamang pasample na pangmalakasang kantahan, kasama mga espesyal na bisita ang magpapasaya ng iyong umaga.
And then you discover personalities during the journey. But it was the music that kept us.
Pero we're enjoying every moment na kinakanta nila kasama namin yung mga kanta na yan. Yeah.
So early 90s, nag-transfer ako sa Cebu. And then doon ako kumakanta.
That's why for this show, gusto namin ibalik yung 80s and 90s.
Kaya naman, magaling manood ng kada umaga 10 a.m. to 12 noon kung gusto niyong ma-LSS, Lunes hanggang Biyernes.
Together sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Nagbabalik ang Mata ng Agila International at sa pagpapatuloy po ng ating mga balita ngayong gabi. Ginising na malakas na pagyanig ng lupa ang mga residente sa India matapos tumama ang magnitude 4 na lindol sa nasabing bansa. Ayon sa National Center for Seismology, namataan ang epicenter ng lindol sa lalim na 5 kilometro malapit sa syudad ng Daulakuan. Inalerto naman ng Delhi Police ang publiko at pinayuhan na tumawag sa emergency helpline na 112 sa oras ng emergencies. Hinikayat naman ni Prime Minister Narendra Modi ang publiko na maging mahinahon sa lahat ng oras at sundin ang mga safety precautions tuwing may lindol. Tiniyak din ni Modi na nakabantay ang mga otoridad sa sitwasyon at at kaagad na re-responde ang gobyerno sa mga maaapektuhan ng lindol.
Nagdeklara naman ang Kentucky ng state of emergency dahil sa malawakang pagbaha sa lugar bunsod ng bagyo. Kinumpirma ni Governor Andrew Beshear na 8 katao na ang nasawi dahil sa kalamidad habang higit sa 1,000 rescue operations na ang naisagawa ng mga emergency responders sa estado. Ayon sa National Weather Service, higit sa 6 na pulgada ng ulan ang bumuho sa central at eastern regions ng Kentucky. Dahil dito, maraming mga kalsada at gusali ang nalubog sa tubig baha. Pinayuhan naman ng Federal Emergency Management Agency o FEMA ang mga residente na manatili muna sa kanilang mga tahanan at kung sila man ay na-stranded, ay hintaying dumating ang mga rescue crew para sila ay saklolohan. Kasalukuyan ding namahagi ng disaster relief package ang FEMA para sa mga apektado ng bagyo.
Marami po ang nagdalamhati sa sinapit ng hindi bababa sa 18 kataong nasawi sa naganap na Stampede sa isang train station sa New Delhi, India. Ayon sa Delhi Police, kasama sa mga nasawi sa Stampede ay 9 na babae at 5 bata. Anila naganap ang trahedya bandang alas 10 ng gabi nitong Sabado nang naipon ang malaking bilang ng mga tao sa istasyon dahil sa naging delay sa biyahe ng 2 tren. Karamihan sa mga pasaherong naipit ay tutungo sana sa isang event sa syudad ng Prayagraj. Ipinahayag naman ni Union Minister of Railways Ashwini Vaishnaw ang kanyang pagkalungkot sa sinapit ng mga biktima. Sinabi rin ng opisyal na tutulong ang buong team nito sa mga apektado ng insidente. Anya, may 4 na tren ang dumating sa istasyon para gamitin sa paglikas ng mga tao roon. Samantala, ipinabot naman ni Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi ang kanyang pakikiramay sa mga pamilya ng mga nasawing biktima at kinumpirma nga mag-aabot ito ng tulong pinansyal para sa mga ito.
Takot ang nadama ng mga residente ng Villach, Austria matapos ang knife attack na ikinasawi ng isang menor de edad at ikinasugat naman ng 5 iba pa. Patay sa tadtad ng saksak ang 14 anyos na lalaking biktima matapos sugurin ng isang Syrian national na may dalang folding knife. Hinala ng pulisya may kaugnayan ang suspect sa isang terrorist group. Tinawag naman ni Austrian Interior Minister Gerhard Karner na isang Islamist attack ang trahedya. Sa kabila nito, pinasalamatan naman ni State Governor Peter Kaiser ang food delivery company worker na isang Syrian din na tumulong para mapigilan ang suspect. Dahil dito, inatasan ni Karner ang mga operatiba na magsagawa ng mass screening without a cause sa mga tao dahil hindi pa tiyak ang pagkakakilanlan ng suspect. Napag-alaman din na may residence permit ang suspect pero hindi nilinaw ng otoridad kung gaano na ito katagal na nananatili sa Austria.
Mga mamamayan sa isang bayan sa Canada kinakabahan dahil sa maaaring epekto ng 25% taripang ipinataw ng Administrasyong Trump sa bakal at aluminum na papasok sa Estados Unidos. Mula po sa Toronto, Ontario, narito ang balita mula kay Cherry Recolizado.
Patuloy ang tariff war sa pagitan ng Canada at Estados Unidos. Inanunsyo ni Pangulong Donald Trump noong Lunes ang 25% na taripa sa lahat ng bakal at aluminyo na magmumula sa Canada at Mexico. Ito ay karagdagang alalahanin para sa maraming negosyo sa buong bansa. Ayon kay Dennis Darby, Pangulo at CEO ng Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, ang Canada ang pangunahing pinagkukunan ng bakal at aluminyo ng Amerika. Dagdag pa ni Darby, dapat magtulungan ang Canada at Estados Unidos upang mabawasan ang mga imports at pagdepende nila sa China. Ang Hamilton, isang lungsod sa Ontario, ay isa sa mga pangunahing sentro ng paggawa ng bakal at pinakamalaking tagagawa ng flat steel sa Canada. Ayon sa alkalde ng Hamilton, magdudulot ng pagkakagulo ang bagong taripa at posibleng magresulta ito sa pagkawala ng mahigit $1 bilyong sa ekonomiya. Ayon sa US Census Bureau, noong nakaraang taon nag-export ang Canada ng $24.4 billion na halaga ng aluminyo at bakal sa Estados Unidos. Kaya't ang Canada ang maituturing na pangunahing supplier ng Amerika pagdating sa mga materyales na ito. Cherry Recolisado, Toronto, Ontario, para sa NET25 News.
Inilabas na ng China ang 2 spacesuits na gagamitin nila sa kanilang lunar exploration missions. Ayon sa China Manned Space Agency o CMSA, kilala sa tawag na Wang Yu ang kanilang moon landing spacesuit, habang Feitian naman ang tawag sa gagamitin na extravehicular spacesuit. Anila, nakadisenyo ang 2 spacesuits batay sa standard ng mapayapang paggamit habang nasa outer space. Bilang bahagi ng kanilang moon mission ay gagamitin ng China ang kanilang manned lunar rover na kilala naman sa tawag na Tansuo. Mula rito ay umaasa ang China na maaabot nila ang inaasahang progreso nito para sa moon landing mission ng naaayon sa plano. Layon kasi ng Beijing na magsagawa ng manned lunar landing sa taong 2030 para magsagawa naman ng scientific exploration at technical experiments sa buwan.
Nanguna si football star Cristiano Ronaldo sa highest paid athletes noong taong 2024. Base sa datos ng Sportico, kumita ng $260 million ang atleta, subalit sa nasabing listahan ay walang mga babaeng atleta na nakapasok sa top 100. Nagmula ang kabuoang kita nito mula sa $215 million contract with winning bonuses po yan sa Al Nassr sa Saudi Arabia at sa Portugal national team. Mayroon din itong kita mula sa kanyang on-field endorsement na nagkakahalaga ng $45 million. Noong nakaraang taon ay siya ang unang taong nagtala ng 900 career goals at mula nang lumipat sa Saudi Arabia ay nagtala ng 82 goals sa 90 na laro. Pumangalawa naman po sa kanya si NBA star Stephen Curry na mayroong estimated $153.8 million na kita ng nakaraang taon. Samantala, nasa pangatlong pwesto naman si British boxer Tyson Fury na nakakuha ng higit kumulang $147 million. Pang-apat namang pwesto si Lionel Messi at sinusundan naman siya ni Los Angeles Lakers star LeBron James.
Nagwagi sa 2025 Slam Dunk Contest ng NBA si Orlando Magic star Mac McClung. Ito na ang ikatlong taon na magkakasunod na nakuha niya ang titulo. Ilan sa mga ikinamangha ng mga manonood ay ang pagtalon nito sa taas ng 3 tao at sa isang sasakyan. Nakakuha ito ng perfect 50 points sa mga judges sa una at final rounds para maging unang dunker na magwagi ng 3 magkakasunod na taon. Kapantay na niya ngayon si Nate Robinson na tanging 3-time slam dunk winner. Hindi naman tiyak ng 26-year-old na Orlando Magic player kung siya ba ay sasabak muli sa susunod na taon.
At usapang NBA pa rin po dahil tinanghal naman si Miami Heat star Tyler Herro bilang 3-point shooter ng 2025 NBA All-Star Game. Pinalo nito si Buddy Hield ng Golden State Warriors sa score na 24-23. Siya ang panglibang Heat player na nakakuha ng titulo na una nang nakuha ni James Jones noong taong 2011. Sinabi ni Herro na naging maswerte lamang ito sa kanyang tira at hindi niya inasahang matatalo niya si Hield na siyang nagkampiyon naman noong taong 2020.
Susunod, isang kuting na nag-exercise nag-viral sa internet.
Kambal na giant panda sa Hong Kong pinagkaguluhan.
At abangan ang iba pang mga storya pagdating ni Alma Angeles at ng Mata ng Agila World News. At magbabalik pa rin po ang Mata ng Agila International. Huwag pong bibitaw.
mga maiinit na balita
at rumaratsyad ang usapan ng bayan.
ihahatid namin sa 100%!
100% ang pagbabalita.
100% talakayan.
Lunes hanggang Biyernes.
Alas 5 hanggang alas 7 ng umaga.
Live na live sa Radyo Agila 1062 Mega Manila.
At sa NET25.
100%!
Sa NET25, let's get together. Sa NET25.
Ngayong linggo, sa Cine Throwback.
Kulang to pambili ng bini para sa sunod na taon.
Anong gagawin natin?
Punta tayo Maynila. Makanap ako ng trabaho doon.
Ngayong linggo, alas 12 ng tanghali. Dito lang sa NET25.
Let's get together. Sa NET25.
Ayan, isang cute na ginger cat sa China ang nakikisali sa mga workouts ng kanyang fur parents sa isang gym. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, naglalakad ang pusa sa isang treadmill. Anila marunong din ang hayop na mag-adjust ng bilis ng machine para pantayan ang pace ng kanyang fur parent. Karaniwang ginagamit ang treadmills para sa mga obese na mga alagang hayop sa rekomendasyon po yan ng mga veterinaryo para sa kalusugan ng mga ito.
Ang cute naman nun. Ito, cute din po ito dahil pinilahan ng marami bisita ang public debut ng cute na Kambala Giant Pandas na kilala sa tawag na Gaizi at Sailu. Itong linggo ang unang beses na humarap ang Earth Sign Twins sa publiko sa Ocean Park, Hong Kong. Ayon sa management ng park, ang dalawang panda ay isinilang noong August 2024 at ang kanilang mga magulang ay sina Ying Ying at Lei, mga giant pandas na iniregalo ng Beijing sa Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Kasabay ng public debut ng kambal na panda ay inilunsad din ng management ang naming competition para opisyal ng pangalanan ang dalawang cubs. Hinikayat ang lahat ng residente sa Hong Kong na makiisa sa ganitong event at mag-suggest ng pangalan na babagay sa pisikal na anyo ng mga panda. Inaasahan naman na ilalabas ang resulta para sa naming game sa gitna ng taong 2025. Yan, Nina, ikaw. Pero may nickname na sila ngayon, no? Pero hindi pa pala official.
Oo. So,
ayan,
free pa yung publiko na magbigay ng mga suggestions. Ang cute, di ba? Sobra. Pero, pang naisip ko, siguro, twins ba sila? Oo.
Twins,
So, yung isa si Yuka.
Bakit?
Kasi yung isa si Liptos. So, Yuka, Liptos, mga ganun pagtatawagin mo sila.
Oo, talaga.
Natuwa si Direk. Happy na ako.
Eucalyptus. O sige, parang hindi ko yan parang hindi ko maarok pa ngayon. Sige, mag-iisip muna ako. Kasi may nakita rin ako, nag-birthday din dito.
Ay, yun na nga, na tayo, nawindang tayo.
Kasi cute din ang panda, naalala ko. Siguro ang pangalan ka, Linden.
Ay, pwede rin yan. Gusto ko yan. Parang kasi cute yung panda. So, syempre, papangalan mo sa isang taong cute din.
Nag-birthday, hindi nagparamdam ng birthday. Oo. So, siguro magbibigay siya ng isa pang Panda Express.
Okay. Yung pala yun sa segue ka doon.
Ayun talaga yan.
Isa pang cute na name, ano ba? How about let's do Tony?
Bakit?
Tony Poponi. Banana Panda Poponi.
So, may apelido sila kasama.
Parang hindi na makarelate yung mga hindi na buhay no 80s.
Tony Popo ang apelido ni.
Diba? Okay, pwede yan, diba? Kung saan
okay. Hindi na daw natatawa
Gusto ko
si
yung
Direk
inabot na
Mads.
talaga tayo.
At baka may Panda Express dito. Naaamoy na
Exciting.
natin. Exciting po yan.
Parang ang bango.
Kalay mo rin na Monday na naman.
Diba?
Isang
Ganda ng
linggo
bukas ng
po
linggo.
tayo muling magsasama-sama. Ayan, kung meron po kayo maisip na pangalan para sa cute Panda twins, i-message lang po kami. Yan, mag-comment po kayo dyan. At siguro by the end of the week, pwede natin na mabasa yung mga comments nila.
Natin kung meron man talagang umeffort na pangalanan.
Oo. At malay mo, pwede natin yung, kaya hindi tayo Hong Kong residents, no?
Oo nga. Dito lang sa
Pero may
atin. Gawin
suggest
natin local na gimmick natin.
Sige. Tingnan nga natin kung si Tony Poponi mo, o yung aking kanin
Si Banana
din.
Panda Poponi.
Sige po. Sa ngayon po kami magpapaalam muna, subalit magkita-kita pa rin tayo bukas. Dahil narito kami para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako ng mundo. Magandang gabi po. Ako muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Lago Flores, bumabati po ng Happy Monday. Ito po ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman po sa mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina Enrique. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News. On tonight's headlines. Winter's deadly wrath leaves at least 11 people dead after a powerful storm system raced across several states.
Unfortunately, this disaster is taking a toll in terms of human life. Even with the incredible response that we've seen, we can confirm that we've lost at least 8 Kentuckians.
Tensions are rising between Washington and Beijing tonight over changes to U.S. policy language on Taiwan. The State Department has quietly removed key wording from its website about not supporting Taiwan independence, prompting a sharp rebuke from China.
We urge the U.S. side to correct its mistakes immediately, earnestly abide by the One China principle and the 3 Sino-U.S. joint communiques.
And the news starts now. Winter's deadly wrath leaves at least 11 people dead after a powerful storm system raced across several states. Kentucky is bearing the brunt of this devastating weather system, where flash flooding has turned roads into rivers. Take a look. Kentucky rescue teams have performed more than 1,000 water rescues as flash floods ravage the state. The death toll there stands at 8, including a mother and her 7-year-old child. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear warns the situation is still dire. The governor is also urging residents to stay off the roads. Officials are calling this one of the most serious weather events in a decade.
Unfortunately, this disaster is taking a toll in terms of human life. Even with the incredible response that we've seen, we can confirm that we've lost at least 8 Kentuckians due to this weather event. We believe this number is going to grow. We hope it doesn't grow quickly or grow much larger, but one way that you can help us out to ensure we have as few fatalities as possible is don't get on the roadways.
The storm's path of destruction extends beyond Kentucky. In Atlanta's Grove Park neighborhood, a man died when a massive tree crashed through his roof while he was sleeping. First responders say the tree's size complicated the rescue efforts. The system has left more than 500,000 customers without power across 9 states. And now utility crews face a new challenge, restoring power in record low temperatures. In Atlanta, the threat is shifting from wind to dangerous cold. Temperatures are expected to plunge into the teens and even single digits in some areas, raising new concerns about icy roads and burst pipe. Tensions are rising between Washington and Beijing tonight over changes to U.S. policy language on Taiwan. The State Department has quietly removed key wording from its website about not supporting Taiwan independence, prompting a sharp rebuke from China. Now, Beijing is demanding the U.S. correct its mistakes after discovering the altered language in what American officials call a routine website update. The changes go beyond just removing that single face. The updated fact sheet now highlights Taiwan's involvement in Pentagon technology projects and support Taiwan's participation in international organizations where applicable. Now, China's response was swift and stern.
The revision of the fact sheet on U.S.-Taiwan relations by the U.S. State Department, which seriously regressed its position on Taiwan-related issues, seriously violated the One China principle and the three Sino-U.S. joint communiques, seriously violated international law and basic norms of international relations, and sent a serious wrong signal to the Taiwan independence separatist forces. This is another example of the U.S. side's stubborn adherence to the wrong policy of using Taiwan to contain China. We urge the U.S. side to correct its mistakes immediately, earnestly abide by the One China principle and the three Sino-U.S. joint communiques, handle the Taiwan issue with great caution, stop using Taiwan to contain China, stop escalating the substantive relationship between the U.S. and Taiwan, stop helping Taiwan expand its international space, stop condoning and supporting Taiwan independence, and avoid causing further serious damage to Sino-U.S. relations and peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait.
The State Department defended the changes, with a spokesperson saying late Sunday, as is routine, the fact sheet was updated to inform the general public about our unofficial relationship with Taiwan. They also emphasized that America's fundamental position hasn't changed, adding the U.S. remains committed to its One China policy. Taiwan's government welcomed the revision. Foreign Minister Lee Chia-long expressed appreciation over what he called the support and positive stance on U.S.-Taiwan relations. The dispute highlights the delicate balance in U.S.-Taiwan relations. While America has no formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan, it remains the island's strongest international supporter and is legally bound to help Taiwan defend itself. Taiwan maintains it's already an independent nation, officially the Republic of China, dating back to 1949, when its government fled the mainland following defeat in the Chinese Civil War. Meanwhile, an analyst noted that the change reflects a shift in priorities from the Trump administration. Take a look.
What's written on the website has been said by members of both parties. There's nothing new there. No statements that are new. It's new for the State Department to say that. So you have to ask yourself the question, why is the State Department saying that? And I think it speaks to a little bit of the difference of the function of the State Department under a Trump administration. Historically, the State Department has been used to facilitate diplomacy. And under a Trump administration, like many other agencies, it's there to facilitate a deal. And so it's really about deal making and positioning for I think if you read the entire kind of the long form version of what they say on Taiwan, there still is a fundamental commitment to the One China policy. We do not support any change in the status quo, blah, blah, blah. So by itself, not having that statement, I don't think changes that point of view. But again, it throws the other side off, right? It puts them on the back foot, or they're not quite sure which foot to stand on. And that, in President Trump's point of view, is a good thing. That's a good environment to go and try to make a deal of some kind, or at least have an advantage in any kind of communications with the other side. The U.S. has been the first responder. They've been the one to do something, and China has always reacted. China has fewer options in how it reacts to things, and how it responds. In diplomacy or in anything, we talk about a proportional response. Is it at the same level? Is it the same impact and things like that? And again, because of China's connection with the U.S., connection with the economies of the NATO bloc, they can't necessarily be exactly proportional in that sense. So their response to a widespread tariff could be limitations on certain things, targeted tariffs, things like that. I think they're going to be very careful.
The Taiwan Strait does not belong to China, and any attempts to create tension threaten global security. Now, that is according to the island's defense ministry, saying this today after Beijing criticized Canada for sailing a warship through the sensitive waterway. Take a look. Just days after two U.S. Navy ships completed the controversial passage through the strait, a Canadian warship has now made the same journey, drawing sharp reactions from Beijing. The American vessels, the destroyer USS Ralph Johnson and the survey ship USNS Bowditch, conducted a north-to-south transit earlier this week. It marked the first such mission since President Trump took office. The U.S. Navy defended the passage with Indo-Pacific Command spokesperson Commander Matthew Comer stating the transit occurred through a corridor in the Taiwan Strait that is beyond any coastal state's territorial seas. Within this corridor, all nations enjoy high seas freedom of navigation. China's military immediately dispatched forces to the area, warning that the U.S. action sends the wrong signals and increases security risks. And now tensions are escalating further. Taiwan's defense ministry reports tracking 41 Chinese military aircraft, 9 Chinese vessels, most concentrated in the strait and off Taiwan's southwest coast. And today, Taiwan issued its strongest statement yet, declaring the strait absolutely not within the scope of China's sovereignty. Their defense ministry warned that any attempts to create tension there threaten global security. The latest flashpoint involves the Canadian warship Ottawa. China's military accuses Canada of deliberately stirring up trouble, while Taiwan welcomes what it calls friendly and allied navigation through the waterway. While the Canadian military hasn't commended, this monthly transit of Western warships has become a diplomatic stumbling block between China and the West. Beijing considers Taiwan its most important diplomatic issue. A major shift in U.S. policy towards Gaza, as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signals he's moving forward with President Trump's controversial proposal to relocate Gaza's Palestinian population. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appeared united on nearly every major issue, whether it was preventing Iran from going nuclear or determining Gaza's future. And both their words and their optics send a clear message about where the U.S.-Israel relationship stands.
President Trump and I are working in full cooperation and coordination between us.
This was Rubio's first trip to Israel as Secretary of State, and he wasted no time throwing his support behind Trump's once unthinkable idea, moving Gaza's 2 million residents elsewhere and turning the Strip into what he called the Riviera of the Middle East.
The president's also been very bold about his view of what the future for Gaza should be. Not the same tired ideas of the past, but something that's bold and something that frankly took courage and vision in order to outline. And it may have shocked and surprised many, but what cannot continue is the same cycle where we repeat over and over again and wind up in the exact same place.
Prime Minister Netanyahu echoed Trump's tough talk. And just last week, the president warned that all hell would break loose if Hamas failed to release the hostages.
We have a common strategy, and we can't always share the details of this strategy with the public, including when the gates of hell will be opened, as they surely will if all our hostages are not released until the last one of them.
Meanwhile, despite coming dangerously close to collapse, the fragile ceasefire is still holding after Hamas freed 3 more hostages yesterday.
I told Bibi, you do whatever you want because, my statement was they got to come back. Now, the reason I made that statement because they said they weren't going to deliver, they were not going to deliver the people that they said they were going to deliver, that they agreed to deliver. And they did agree to do that, but they broke that agreement. When I made the statement, they delivered everybody plus an American. Now, the good news is they look like they're in pretty good shape because the people from the week before didn't look like they were in good shape. They looked like Holocaust survivors, frankly. Horrible. Whatever happened to them was horrible. But that'll be up to Israel what the next step is, in consultation with me.
So for now, the ceasefire holds, but with Netanyahu standing firm on Trump's Gaza plan and tensions still high All eyes remain on what comes next. Israel has received a shipment of heavy Mk-84 bombs from the U.S. after President Donald Trump lifted a block imposed by Joe Biden's administration on their export. The shipment arrived on February 15 despite a ceasefire agreement being in place. Trump explained that he believes in peace through strength, which led him to lift the ban.
Peace through strength. You understand that, right? It's called peace through strength. You know, they contracted for those weapons a long time ago in the Biden administration, and then Biden wouldn't deliver the weapons. But I look at it differently. I say peace through strength. They were sitting there. Nobody knew what to do with them. They bought them. But I believe in that very strongly.
Sir, do you have an update?
A heated exchange at the Munich Security Conference has exposed deep divisions between the U.S. and Europe. Now, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance accused European leaders of stifling free speech, sparking a sharp rebuke from Germany's defense minister. Here's more.
In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance accused European leaders on Friday of censoring free speech and failing to control immigration in an address at the Munich Security Conference in Germany.
I really do believe that allowing our citizens to speak their mind will make them stronger still, which of course brings us back to Munich, where the organizers of this very conference have banned lawmakers representing populist parties on both the left and the right from participating in these conversations.
The comments drew a sharp rebuke from Germany's defense minister Boris Pistorius and overshadowed discussions on the war in Ukraine.
This democracy was called into question earlier by the U.S. Vice President for the whole of Europe. He spoke of the cancellation of democracy, and if I understood him correctly, he compared conditions in parts of Europe with those in authoritarian regimes. Ladies and gentlemen, that is not acceptable.
The clash underlined the divergent worldviews of U.S. President Donald Trump's new administration and European leaders, making it hard for longtime allies, the United States and Europe, to find common ground on issues including Ukraine. The war-torn country's President Volodymyr Zelensky told the conference that he would talk to Russian President Vladimir Putin only once Ukraine had agreed on a common plan with Trump and European leaders.
Ukraine will not take part in the talks in Saudi Arabia. Ukraine did not know anything about it. Ukraine regards any negotiations on Ukraine without Ukraine as ones that have no result. And we cannot recognize any agreements about us without us, and will not recognize such agreements.
He also met with Vance to discuss the path forward. Both sides declined to give details of what they discussed, but the Ukrainian president reiterated that his country needs real security guarantees.
Now, relations between Europe and the U.S. are frosty following last week's Munich Security Conference. A looming trade war and whether the EU will have a role in the Russia-Ukraine peace talks have created a tense situation. Thomas I. Likeness for more.
European leaders got a taste of how Donald Trump will treat them at last week's Munich Security Conference. Having dealt with Trump during his first term, EU politicians should not be surprised by his lack of diplomacy. Political scientist Danielle Schwarzer says it's clear the U.S. president wants to shake things up.
The Munich Security Conference clearly showed that we are witnessing tectonic shifts of the order structures and also of the positioning of major powers. The United States really is the big question mark at the moment. If we put together what has been said about the U.S. international role since Donald Trump came into the White House not very long ago, we see that the United States wants to retreat from international organizations, so it is weakening structures of international order. It has questioned international rules. and at the same time it wants to be a player in major difficult situations.
Although Trump did not attend the conference, Vice President J.D. Vance carried his boss's message, and Schwarzer said it had little to do with foreign policy or security.
Vice President Vance left people very surprised by his speech because it wasn't on foreign policy or security policy, although he framed it that way. He spoke of domestic developments and democracy in Europe and in particular in Germany. The expectations were that he, as the Vice President of the United States, he would comment on the major issue that's on the table here in Munich, and that is the future of Ukraine and the way the U.S. positions itself towards Russia.
Schwarzer suggests Vance strayed off topic because the U.S. has no clear and consistent position on how to end the Russia-Ukraine war. Vance also suggested to the conference that democracy is under threat in Europe, adding free speech is also at risk.
In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree. Now, the good news is that I happen to think your democracies are substantially less brittle than many people apparently fear. And I really do believe that allowing our citizens to speak their mind will make them stronger still, which of course brings us back to Munich, where the organizers of this very conference have banned lawmakers representing populist parties on both the left and the right from participating in these conversations. Now again, we don't have to agree with everything or anything that people say. But when people represent, when political leaders represent an important constituency, it is incumbent upon us to at least participate in dialogue with them.
In doing so, Schwarzer says he showed a growing ideological rift between Europe and the U.S.
So what we saw was a demonstration of a representative of a U.S. government which is right-wing populist and itself undermining democracy at home and trying to convey that this is happening in Europe as well. So he spoke about freedom of speech and what he meant was fighting back Russian disinformation. And these ways of turning around narratives I think is very dangerous and which explains why so many very prominent politicians very strongly pushed back.
Schwarzer says the Trump administration appears to be building ties with far-right leaders across the EU, and she says this is an issue that could affect transatlantic relations going forward.
The European Union really needs to make sure it is not split apart by the US administration. We have already been able to observe over the past few weeks of the Trump administration that he has closer ties with some and he doesn't meet others. For instance, the Italian Prime Minister or the Hungarian Prime Minister, they have a pretty good relationship and they seem to align on some issues that, for instance, the German and the French government don't align with the US administration on.
With the US openly supporting far-right candidates in European elections and the threat of tariffs and a trade war, transatlantic relations could become very tense. And then there's the matter of keeping Europe secure. Washington has said it remains committed to NATO, which has been the bedrock of European security for 3/4 of a century. But some now worry that is in doubt, as Trump is signaling he'd like to see changes to the alliance. Thomas I. Likeness, NET25 World News.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he believes he could meet very soon with Russian President Vladimir Putin to discuss ending the war in Ukraine. Speaking to reporters, Trump said he was working hard to achieve peace and said he believes that both Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky want to stop fighting. His comments come as the U.S. and Russia are preparing for initial talks in Saudi Arabia this coming days.
On your timing of your meeting with Putin in Saudi Arabia?
No, no time set, but it could be very soon.
Like this month?
Well,
or?
It'll be soon. We'll see what happens. But they're meeting right now, and that's more. I mean, this should have been done 4 years ago, 3 years ago, before it started. But it should have been done immediately after it started, as opposed to now, 3 years later. I think he wants to stop fighting. I see that. We spoke long and hard. Steve Witkoff was with him for a very extended period, like about 3 hours. I think he wants to stop fighting. They have a big, powerful machine. You understand that. And they defeated Hitler and they defeated Napoleon. You know, they've been fighting a long time. They've done it before. And but I think he'd like to. I think he would like to stop fighting.
Do you think he wants the whole of Ukraine, or just like what do you think he wants?
No, I think he wants to stop. That was my question to him.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back. A deadly knife attack in Austria is now being linked to Islamic State. Authorities say the suspect, a 23-year-old Syrian asylum seeker, had sworn allegiance to the militant group before launching the attack. The violence left a 14-year-old boy dead, several others seriously wounded. But officials say it could have been even worse if not for the quick actions of a food delivery driver. Take a look.
A Syrian asylum seeker who is suspected of carrying out a deadly stabbing attack in Austria had sworn allegiance to the Islamic State. That's according to the authorities, who also said that the 23-year-old man had been radicalized online. Saturday's attack in the southern alpine town of Villach killed a 14-year-old boy. 5 other people were wounded, 3 of whom are in intensive care, according to the police.
For most of the people, it's a shock, I think. It's not the same thing than it was before. I did not think that it could be happening in this town. It's a peaceful town.
Authorities also added that more harm would have been done had it not been for another Syrian, a food delivery driver, who saw the attacker and drove into him with his vehicle.
While I was driving on Villach Bridge, I noticed a commotion, something that seemed unnatural. I looked to the right, I saw 2 people. First I saw someone on the ground, but I didn't pay much attention. I drove forward a bit and started driving very slowly because there were many people, some running, some scared, and some was shouting for help. I saw a person with a knife in front of me threatening people. I immediately understood what was happening. There were people on the ground bleeding, and this person was waving the knife in a threatening manner. I immediately drove toward him and hit him with my car. The good thing is that the impact wasn't too strong, thank God. I mean, the goal of hitting him with the car was just to neutralize him or stop what he was doing. The goal wasn't to harm anyone. People look at me as a hero, but I don't see it that way. I say to people, please, if something like this happens again, you have to do something. You can't just stand there, take photos and film videos.
During a press conference, Interior Minister Gerhard Kahner said officials should have greater powers to screen asylum seekers. He also said that there would have to be mass checks without cause in many areas, since the suspect had not attracted the authorities' attention. Police said that the man, who is being charged with murder and attempted murder, had recorded himself swearing an oath of allegiance to the Islamic State. IS has not claimed responsibility for the attack so far.
A new economic shock for Canada as the U.S. slaps heavy tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Businesses and officials in one major manufacturing city warned that the move could have devastating consequences. Ashley Sakma reports from Toronto.
The tariff war continues between Canada and the United States. U.S. President Trump announced Monday that new 25% tariffs will be imposed on all steel and aluminum imports from Canada and Mexico, adding another layer of unpredictability in many businesses across the country. President and CEO of Canadian Manufacturers and Exporters, Dennis Darby, says that Canada is America's #1 source of steel and aluminum. Darby also says that Canada and the U.S. should instead work together to reduce their imports and reliance on China. Hamilton, a city in Ontario, is considered one of the centers of steel manufacturing and the largest flat steel producer in Canada. Hamilton's mayor says that the newly announced tariffs would likely cause destabilization and would result to about $1 billion loss to their local economy. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, Canada shipped $24.4 billion worth of aluminum and steel to the U.S. last year, making Canada the largest source of these materials to the U.S. Ashley Sackmar, Toronto, Ontario for NET25 World News.
The NBA tried something completely different with its All-Star game in San Francisco last night, and the Stars say it was a slam dunk. Take a look. Gone was the traditional East versus West matchup. Instead, 4 teams of 8 players battled it out in a one-night tournament at the Chase Center. Playing on his home court, Golden State's Stephen Curry led Team Shaq to victory, taking down Team Chuck 41-25. Curry, who walked away with MVP honors, put up 20 points across 2 games. Kevin Durant, who played alongside Curry on the winning squad, says this new format brought back some of that missing competitive spirit.
The format takes some getting used to. It was once we got in the flow of things, I thought it was pretty good. The first game we played against the rookie Rising Stars. I thought it was pretty good once we kind of got the flow of it. And I'm glad Ryan came out there and was able to play on Sunday night. Something for him to aspire to be in. Like, just Sunday night is a special time, So those rookies that were on the floor tonight, they're looking at us as all-stars and, get some inspiration and some, when they come back out there and play, So I'm sure we'll see a few of those guys there playing on Sunday night as well.
On the other side, Denver's Nikola Jokic admitted his team Chuck struggled, but praised the new format.
It was good. I think it was a little bit more competitive. We didn't open the game well, and we didn't finish it well either.
As for Curry's MVP performance, Jokic wasn't surprised.
I don't know, but Steph is built for this game, and he showed why. So I'm happy for him.
The night's breakout star might have been rookie Victor Wembanyama, who led Team Chuck with 11 points. The Spurs phenom says he's hitting the NBA stride.
As I was just saying, I'm in much better shape this year than I was last year. My body is much more adapted to this league and this rhythm. So my biggest takeaway is that it's possible, to give 100% on that court, to play hard, to play our ass off, and it's for me, it's the only way to play basketball, And I think it'll only make the game better.
Comment tu l'as préparé en fait? À ce moment de l'année dernière, j'étais en moins bonne forme, je faisais du champion.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Good night.